moving on to semiconductors, then the passive components, add the two, you get the finished product. So we are supporting semiconductor manufacturing under the India Semiconductor Mission, and we have been supporting finished products under PLI, and now we will be supporting the manufacture of these passive components. Largely these passive components we will be manufacturing, we will be supporting the manufacture of these passive components. जैसे आप इसमें आप देखोगे, this is the PCB, and on this PCB कई सारे कैपेसिटर्स हैं, रेजिस्टर्स हैं, इंडक्टर्स हैं और हीट सिंक्स हैं. PCB itself is very complex. जैसे ये PCB आपको बहुत सिंपल सी दिखती है, बट दिस इज एक्चुअली 18 लेयर्स ऑफ PCB, और इसके अंदर कंप्लीट इसकी वायरिंग होती है, प्लम्बिंग होती है इन अ सेंस, हीट के लिए, हीट के फ्लो के लिए, और सारा सर्किट जो कॉम्प्लेक्स सर्किट एक से दूसरे के अंदर कनेक्शन करना है. मान लो समथिंग विल बी कनेक्टेड फ्रॉम लेयर 3 टू लेयर 7, समथिंग वुड बी कनेक्टेड फ्रॉम लेयर 1 टू लेयर 14, राइट. इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स होता है इसको मैन्युफैक्चर करना. ये सारा का सारा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इस स्कीम में सपोर्ट होगा. सारे पैसिव कंपोनेंट्स प्लस द कैपिटल इक्विपमेंट विच गो इनटू मैन्युफैक्चरिंग द कंपोनेंट्स. कैपिटल इक्विपमेंट which go into manufacturing of these components is very important, because हमने देखा है कि over a period of time we saw that there are instances where people would not like to send the capital goods so that the manufacturing can be in a sense muted. So we are supporting the manufacturing of capital goods also. और capital goods में what is important is that because volume of finished goods has increased, that has created a significant demand for capital goods, and today clusters have developed. Coimbatore, Bangalore, Pune, then Rajkot, then Baroda. इस तरह के कई सारे clusters जहाँ पे already capital goods का manufacturing लंबे टाइम से हो रहा था, वहाँ पे people have started developing, investing in manufacturing of capital goods, and they have started supplying to the Indian manufacturers already. Supply chain has also deepened over the last few years. आज Apple के 64 suppliers हो गए इंडिया में. That is the kind of depth which has got created in the last few years. ये इस तरह का सेक्टर है जिसमें success plays on success, in the sense that आप एक चीज़ मैन्युफैक्चर करने लगते हो, उससे डिमांड बढ़ती है, और वो डिमांड अपने आप फिर इन्वेस्टमेंट को पुल इन करती है, अट्रैक्ट करती है, और उससे और ज़्यादा प्रोडक्शन बढ़ता है. सो दिस इज़ वेरी वर्चुअस साइकिल वी कैन से. पैसिव कंपोनेंट्स का पहली बार सपोर्ट मिला है देश में. ऑल द पैसिव कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर्स वर वेरी हैप्पी. दे वर सेइंग कि ये एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जिसमें पहली बार देश में एक सपोर्ट मिला है. और इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज़ इसमें स्केल बहुत चाहिए होता है. फॉर एग्जांपल आप इसमें सपोज ये एक छोटा सा कैपेसिटर देखते होगे, दिस इज़ द कैपेसिटर फॉर एग्जांपल, राइट. इस कैपेसिटर को देखोगे, यू कांट हैव अ स्मॉल फैक्ट्री फॉर दिस. छोटी फैक्ट्री में ये मैन्युफैक्चर होने से स्केल नहीं आएगा, वो कॉस्टिंग उतनी नहीं आएगी जैसी चाहिए. तो स्केल बहुत ज़रूरी है. इसीलिए प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैज़ गाइडेड अस टू चेंज द माइंडसेट. माइंडसेट हैज़ टू चेंज फ्रॉम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ओनली फॉर आवर नीड्स, विच इज़ इम्पोर्ट सब्सटीट्यूशन का जो माइंडसेट था कई वर्षों तक देश में, उस माइंडसेट से निकल के हमको we have to manufacture for our needs and manufacture for the world. Export led growth. Export led growth. ये माइंडसेट के लिए we need large scale also. आपको अगर ये कैपेसिटर अगर दुनिया भर में देना है तो you have to have a scale where it can match the cost which is required to be matched in the global world, global market. So that's why it was very important that we come out with a very comprehensive program. और आप अगर इस वैल्यू चेन को देखो, look at the value chain, then this is a very comprehensive program because it covers practically every part of the value chain. And I am also sharing with you, people have come who want to manufacture the silicon ingot also. So as the semiconductor program further evolves, we'll have people who are now interested in manufacturing those ultra pure materials which go into the manufacturing of wafer. That also is now, that interest has also come in the country. So this is a major program. These components will go in multiple sectors. आपके सामने तीन different categories रखी हैं. Mobile phones, of course, IT hardware, laptops, iPads, hearables, wearables, servers, practically everything सब में जाएगा, desktops. Then lot of consumer appliances and telecom में भी ये सारे components जाएंगे. आपके electrical equipment, home appliances, refrigerator, automobiles में जाएगा, फिर medical devices में जाएगा, इन सब में ये components जाएंगे. So this is going to benefit practically every sector because the manufacturing of those sectors will also get the support which was required by having domestic manufacturing of electronics components. भारत में पैसिव कंपोनेंट्स और सब असेंबली मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का एक मेजर इकोसिस्टम बनने से डोमेस्टिक वैल्यू एडिशन विल आल्सो इंक्रीज. As we know, countries which have done electronics manufacturing for more than 3 decades, they have been able to reach the highest domestic value addition at about 38 to 40%, that range, let's say 40%. We are within 10 years, we have already reached about 20%. Now we must target doubling this in the coming 5 years by having the passive components as well as active components. Active components through the semiconductor mission and passive components through the electronics component manufacturing scheme. This particular scheme, which has outlay of 22,919 crore rupees, will be directly generating 91,600 direct employment and 4,56,000 crore additional production and about investment of 59,350 crore, about close to 60,000 crore ka investment. Practically the entire industry is very keen, ready to start the investment across the country, all states, and the state governments are also very eager to welcome the industries, क्योंकि ये एक ऐसा सेक्टर है जिसमें पहली बात तो क्लीन है, कोई एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट नहीं है, फैक्ट्रीज लुक लाइक ऑफिसेज. सेकेंड, लॉट ऑफ विमेन एम्प्लॉयज गेट दी opportunities. जैसे I've seen, I've visited about 5-6 plants by now. Majority of the employees are women employees. और गांव से पढ़ी हुई, कम पढ़ी हुई, स्कूल से 10th पढ़ी हुई या 12th पढ़ी हुई बहनें, they are able to get good opportunities here. So ये बहुत बड़ा एक significant point है. और एक फैक्ट्री में 10,000, 7,000, 20,000, एक फैक्ट्री तो ऐसी भी है जहाँ 40,000, 40,000 persons employed in one plant. So that's a large number, right? Already top 3 exported goods mein electronics has come, and with this program, this will obviously remain consistently within top 3, but the exports will further rise from the 2.5 lakh crore today. It is likely to get doubled in the coming years. I'll stop here and take questions. We'll do the same thing that we always do, start from the left hand side.
Sure. Sylvie from Economic Times. I just wanted to ask you, this doubling from 2.5 lakhs, do you have a timeline one? And secondly, could you also talk a little bit about, these components, which are the ones which are sort of the most needed right now, which will have the maximum impact in deepening the value chain?
Doubling timeline is approximately 3.5 to 4 years. Let's say 4 years. We are growing, the exports are growing at approximately 20% CAGR. So 20% CAGR means 72 divided by 20 is about 3.5. So 3.5 years is what we are looking at doubling. And most important components, see, in this particular program, we are looking at a wide range of components, but we think that the components which will really add a lot of domestic value will be related to display, camera, non-surface mounted devices. जैसे ये device है capacitor, this is non-SMD, right? Surface mounted में, for example, all these very small components that you see, they are surface mounted devices. So non-surface mounted passive components, then electromechanicals. For example, this item is an electromechanical, right? ये सारे components electromechanical, इनकी value addition significant होता है इनसे. फिर multi-layer printed circuit board, as I said, this is 18-layer PCB. Lithium ion cells which go into the electronics sector, not the electrical vehicle. ये वाला जैसे lithium ion cell, this one. छोटे वाले इनका special manufacturing process होता है, उसकी manufacturing यहाँ पे. Then enclosures, which are again high precision enclosures, इनका precision is very high. Microns में precision होता है, थोड़ी सी भी mistake होती है तो that gets rejected. Then lithium ion cells, I said, high density interconnect. Then SMD passive components, ये जितने भी passive components इसके ऊपर already surface mounted हैं, ये वाले components. इसके ऊपर बहुत छोटे components हैं, which are all surface मतलब एक पूरी की पूरी लेयर लगती है, कंप्यूटर में उसकी प्रोग्रामिंग होती है और प्रोग्राम के अकॉर्डिंगली पीसीबी पे इसकी माउंटिंग होती जाती है. देन कैपिटल गुड्स यूज्ड इन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग and parts components used in manufacturing of the sub assemblies and bare components. It's a very extensive list.
Also to understand, you announced the total quantum of subsidies, but what will be the structure in terms of who will get benefits? You mentioned employment linked.
बहुत सारे लोग, quite a large number of people.
What is the structure of the subsidy?
Structure of the subsidies in 3 parts. First part is employment linked incentives, ELI. Employment linked incentives. So we are asking the people to define a number of employment that they will give, direct employment, and once they give, then they get the incentives. That is first. Second is wherever capital support is required, capex support is required, so capex support will be there. Third will be turnover linked incentives. So these are the 3 structures in which various components will fall. We'll be very soon publishing the complete scheme. Very soon we'll launch it. Today the cabinet is approved, and as you know, जैसे semiconductor में within 15 days of cabinet approval we had launched the scheme. We'll do a similar thing here. So we'll launch the scheme and very soon we'll see some applications also. No, it's different. It's different. We'll share with you when we finalize it, but it will be significantly less. See, this is semiconductor. We were starting from zero, and that is a very complex industry. This is significantly less complex. and we are not starting from zero. We have a reasonable experience of doing this in our country.
And which states we allowed to top up?
Of course.
And so just one, how many companies you are expecting to start with this?
आने दो, अभी आने दो.
But you must have a top.
हाँ हाँ, बातचीत हुई है, पूरी इंडस्ट्री के साथ डिटेल डिस्कशंस हुए. Everything that we do is with great consultations, extensive consultation, whether it is DPDP or telecom or creating such programs, everything is done with great consultations, very, very extensive consultations.
So, Pune money control. So, which countries is government expecting technology from? Like, Vietnam or China or Taiwan?
No, our country itself has good technology now. We don't have to really, it's not like the country is today in a different, very different phase. Today our people, for example, ATMP, right? OSAT, initially just in like 4 years ago, we didn't have that technology. Today we have developed it ourselves. Entire telecom stack, we developed it ourselves. Hydrogen train, we have developed it ourselves, right? How many countries are there which have this size of hydrogen train, right? तो अभी अपनी कंट्री में अलग माइंडसेट है यार.
Do you have any target for this year in terms of how many approvals?
वो नहीं, वैसे नहीं करना चाहिए. We know that, you know that we go very measured and we don't want to rush through anything. We want to do things right. क्योंकि आप लोगों की जनरेशन के लिए फाउंडेशन ले कर रहे हैं ना. मोदी जी आप लोगों की जनरेशन के लिए फाउंडेशन ले कर रहे हैं. या रहेगा, सब में रहेगा, रहेगा. Very good question. We are also working on labor reforms for electronics manufacturing, customs related reforms, taxation related reforms have already been announced in the budget this year. Two major reforms have been announced in the budget this year. So we are working on a very comprehensive way by which electronics manufacturing can grow. Thank you for asking this question. Any more? Next.
Sir, you said that there will be capex support and overheads support and employment linked incentives. So there is no component of PLI which we have seen so far, production linked.
Turnover and production are practically same, but it is all incremental.
So a couple of questions. Just adding to Abhi's question from before. I mean, it's great that you already have the domestic capacity right now, but is there, would you be open to companies from abroad coming and setting up their plants here? Would you be open to say a joint venture? Would you be open to them opening
Domestic focus. We have our set of rules and regulations, you know those rules and regulations.
So second question, we at this time when tariffs are being discussed globally, etc., what is the signal that you think that we are sending to the world by trying to localize a bunch of this in the country right now, where our import
This has been in works for almost 1 year now. This is a consistent plan, right? Starting from PLI few years ago to ISM to this scheme now and IT hardware scheme, telecom PLI. All these are kind of part of a clear thought process in which Make in India is the entire big picture that we have. And in that picture, that policy, that vision of our Prime Minister, these are parts which are coming up one by one.
So I'm asking this before January.
See the entire thing is the world today actually looks at us as a trusted country. Yesterday I had a large delegation from Japan, close to about 40 global companies CEOs were present here, and they were so keen on increasing their production base in India. So I'm sure you would have heard about that. So it's very clear. It's very, very clear. They trust us. They know that our country respects IP rights. They know that we have clear policies. We have a transparent government. So those things are highly appreciated.
I agree with sir. So 3 questions. Number one, the approved outlay is around 23,000 crore rupees. Given that
I don't think industry demand was 40,000 crore. No, no. It was in the same ballpark number. We have worked this very, very closely with all industry participants. Multiple rounds of consultation, multiple.
So second question that I had, I just want to build on the answer that you gave in terms of having a broader reform framework where we try to invite more people. Recently there have been customs related issues that companies like Volkswagen and Samsung are faced with. Is that also a part of the issue?
What's important is classification. Classification creates problems. So we are very in a very focused way, we are making sure that people understand exactly, everybody has the same understanding of what a particular thing is. So if the classification of a PCB, this is not a good example, but let me give you another example, display module now. Let's say this display module, right? This display module will have the glass, then the back support, then there is a small little electronics in it, which in a sense controls the display. So there can be errors in classification if the display items, the subcomponents of this display module are seen as separate. So that kind of whatever such differences in understanding we are trying to sort out. That is one major reform.
One last question, sir. I'll just take one.
Take two more questions.
So one big success story that we've seen has been the mobile story. It's gone, and that is
Servers also now 4,000 servers getting manufactured every month in just one unit. Servers, laptops.
So that is what I was trying to ask, that given that mobile has been such a huge success story for us, both on the domestic production and export front, that PLI runs out in 2026. Is there that flexibility or that discussion that you're having with industry?
26 के लिए थोड़ा क्वेश्चन छोड़ो ना अगले साल के लिए